Hey, it's Mr. Jensen. I'm going to do a little overview of the lab because there's definitely people who had some difficulty with correlating the rocks and finding like the youngest and the oldest stuff. So figured I would just do one myself. So for this lab, I would have started at the bottom. And some people only did A to B and C to D, and you're supposed to do A to B to C to D. And there's a bunch of different features that made it a little difficult. So from the bottom, I would just go all the way across. And I would do my oldest layer. The oldest layer is at the bottom, since it was there first. So the oldest is the bottom, which means the opposite of that. The youngest should be the top. So these ones are pretty easy at the bottom. So if you do connect these, right, because it's conglomerate sandstone, you could have connected them like this, and they actually went across the whole map. Oh, I want to do blue. All right, here we go. Color that in. I'm just coloring them to help you guys see it. I was asking for the actual rock symbols. So as I continue, shale to shale, and then there is no shale here, but it's dolostone shale, so it should be right here underneath. I'll do that in green as well. Notice in column A, I'm not coloring in that igneous intrusion that goes through all the way to the top of column B. I'll connect this on conformity. Color in my dolostone purple. And all the way across. All right, so A to B was pretty simple. So I'll do that one pretty quickly. So I got A to B. Let's color the whole thing in. Different color. Do the shale. Okay, gotta do the siltstone. And this is where things got a little difficult because of like the erosion, because of the igneous intrusions, because of the fault line. All these things made it a little harder to connect B to C. So you'll notice I use color red for the sandstone, so I'll use it again. If you want to do it like perfectly, I would have said that you're supposed to go from here. Whoops, I'm supposed to do red. From here to here, because there was a an earthquake or a fault line. So now I have my sandstone from B connecting to my sandstone from C, even though it's like just this little area here because of the displaced rock due to an earthquake. And I'll continue this into D now because that was an easier connection, C to D. Cool. I use green for this shale. And so for shale, I would have connected it to this area that is also slanted due to our fault line. And then we have that yellow silt. Take this, I'll connect it to this little piece here. Now in my video earlier, I mentioned that this is also supposed to be siltstone, so I'll just add those little dots in. And I'll color in my siltstone. All right, I'll finish with C and B with green for the shale. Right, and all those Phacops fossils should be the same rock. Right, I did my siltstone in yellow. And then you could leave limestone at the top because it's clearly at the top, and there's actually one more rock layer above it. All right, so I would say that's a complete answer. That's good enough for our lab. Now let's talk about a couple of little features. So technically on the lab, what you were supposed to do is you were supposed to connect the fault line through the rest of the layers. So for example, here is the fault line, the slanted line in the outcrop. You're supposed to take that, and if it reaches all the way to the top, which it does right here, it's also supposed to go all the way through the entire bottom to show that the fault line went through every single rock layer, as the fault line should be younger than any rock layer that it goes through. Then another small thing in the lab was that you were supposed to add contact metamorphism to any layers affected by an igneous intrusion or extrusion. So I'll do that in red because igneous rocks are made from magma. So here is my igneous intrusion. You were supposed to continue it because you see that it's missing in between B and A. And then here comes, like, I can make it like a volcano. Whoa, it was a volcano. So what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to put those little tick marks on the sides of it to show that the rocks in that area are actually now metamorphic. All right, so that was one thing some people missed. All right, so just going through some of the questions. This fossil was C, it was a Phacops. A lot of people also put that limestone was the youngest, but if you see, yes, it's the youngest here. Yes, it's the youngest here. It's missing from here, and it's not the youngest here. So actually it was supposed to be shale. Shale is at the very top. There's absolutely nothing above it, and shale was supposed to be the absolute youngest.